Short story written and narrated by MountainRain. THREADLESS. There were no clocks in Aura. No ticking seconds, no rising sun, only presence. Moments suspended in stillness that shimmered like dew caught in dreamlight. Above and below stretched horizonless mist, pale and endless, where thoughts had weight and time had none. Zali moved through this weightless world with grace born of eternity. As a thread keeper, they were entrusted to walk the loops, threads of emotion and memory spun between worlds. Each loop was fragile, woven from longing, regret, hope, or fear. Zali had never stepped wrong, until now. The golden loop they followed had been pure, the dream of a child who longed to fly. But halfway through, another thread cut across, sharp, dark, trembling with panic. Before Zali could correct course, the threads snapped together. The world shivered, and then, falling. Air, gravity, light with edges. Impact. They hit ground hard and wrong. The sky was made of motion, the earth of heat, the air buzzed with invisible noise, and something unfamiliar pressed against Zali's skin. Time. It clung to them like wet rope, thick and sour. Around them people passed, unseeing, rushing, drowning in hours. Steel machines screamed through the streets. Towers reached for the sky like stone fingers clawing at heaven. Zali staggered up, dizzy. They reached out for the threads. Nothing answered. Aura was gone. The loops were buried. They were threadless, and Earth was dying in silence. Time was cruel in Earth. It didn't flow, it grated. Every moment peeled away a layer of Zali's stillness, like wind scraping skin. Hunger came with teeth, sleep came poisoned with memory. They hid in the in-between spaces, underpasses slick with water, alleys clogged with rusted signs and wires, rooms full of flickering lights that hummed like lost whispers. The people never looked up. They moved in patterns, mouths moving without purpose. Their eyes were dim, chained to small glowing boxes, their minds churning with invisible commands. Zali watched and waited. 3 days or 3 weeks, then it shimmered behind the ruins of a crumbling theater where ivy strangled brick and graffiti spoke in silence. Zali saw it, a pulse in the air. Not a loop, not quite. A scar. They reached for it, fingertips trembling, the shimmer thinned. Pulling back, a low wind stirred the debris. "Don't touch that." The voice was quiet but precise. Zali turned. A girl stood at the alley's edge, 17 maybe, tall, eyes dark as stone under the starlight. She wore a long coat stitched with raven feathers, black on black, each one gleaming with faint purple oil shine. And on her shoulder sat a raven, broad and silent, its eyes reflecting nothing. It stared at Zali. "Not unless you want to bleed from both ends," the girl said. "That's one half dead, loops unstable." "You see it?" Zali's voice was half breath, half thought. "I see more than that." She stepped closer, boots silent on the wet stone. "What are you?" "Zali," they said slowly, "thread keeper of Aura." "You're not earthborn," the girl murmured. "But you've got bleed. I can smell Aura on you." "You know it?" "Not know. Remember." The girl held out a pale hand. Her fingers were wrapped in silver thread. "Name's Neve. That's Shadow." She nodded to the raven, who blinked once deliberately. You're a raven witch. Neve smiled faintly. So, it still means something in your world. In Aura, raven witches keep the paths open for the dead. And here, Neve said, we keep the lost from forgetting what they are. Neve led Zali through the city's dying underbelly. They passed rusted subway lines that hadn't run in decades, walls swollen with graffiti in the languages no longer spoken, and stairwells that descended deeper than logic allowed. Somewhere, water dripped in a rhythm too exact to be natural. Shadow rode silently on Neve's shoulder. The raven's eyes gleamed like voids with memory, ancient and unspeaking, but listening. This place is called the Rift, Neve said. It's not on any map. You can only find it when you've already fallen between. Zali felt it before they saw it. The air thickened, the world slipped. Ahead, the walls shimmered, not visually, but emotionally. Grief, joy, fear, longing. These corridors were soaked in psychic residue. Zali's skin prickled. It was like walking through the layers of someone else's dream, ripping with every step. How did you come to know of Aura? Zali asked. When I was a child, I died for 7 minutes. Shadow brought me back, but something stayed behind, or maybe something else came back with me. Shadow gave a slow, croaking murmur. Zali didn't know what it meant, but it felt like an agreement. I've seen things, Neve continued. Folds, mirrors that lead nowhere. Sometimes when it rains, the sky reflects a world that doesn't match this one. That's where I learned to listen. She stopped in front of a metal door, unlabeled, bolted and humming. Behind it, the dimension wavered. You're bleeding, Zali, Neve said. You've been earth-touched too long. The thread in you is unraveling. I feel it, Zali whispered. But something else is growing, a pull, a pressure, as if Aura is still here, folded beneath this world. Neve nodded. Good, you're ready. She opened the door. It was a chamber of broken architecture, fragments of subway rails, shattered pillars, bones of buildings unswallowed by time. Hovering above them were shapes glowing ghost-like, islands half seen, not fully here. Zali's breath hitched. Aura, flickering above the chamber like a dream, just out of reach, floating lands, frozen trees, temples shaped from memory. As Zali stepped forward, the space shimmered again. The floor beneath them fractured, earth split, and from the fissures light poured upward, golden liquid laced with thread essence. Zali staggered. I see it. I see them. Neve steadied her. Let go. Let the visions come. Shadow will keep your body anchored. I'll keep the rest of you from slipping into madness. How do I find the loop? You don't, Neve said. You remember it. Then she lifted a hand palm covered in runes, inked like spider webs, and placed it against Zali's forehead. Darkness fell. Vision 1. The layering. Zali stood in the middle of a subway station, but the walls were cliffs. The tracks were veins of gold. Trains became serpents of thought. People flickered, half in Earth's clothes, half in Aura's flowing light. A tower of threads rose from the platform, each floor a spinning loom. You never left, said a voice. Zali turned. Rend, a lost threadkeeper, mentor and rival, half Aura, half shadow. I tried to return too, Rend whispered, but I split. Zali reached for her. You can't touch me, not unless you're ready to become a threadsmith. Vision 2. The mirror of selves. Zali faced a mirror showing dozens of versions of themselves. Some with wings, some wearing bone crowns. One chewed burning thread, another whispered to ghosts. "Which one are you?" one asked. "I don't know," Zali said. The mirror shattered. They bled into her. Vision 3. The thread between worlds. Zali floated in a tunnel of roots, nerves, and silver. A voice spoke. "You are the wound and the weaver. You are the thread that bleeds." Zali looked down, her body stretched across both worlds, one half glowing, one half rotting, the center flickering. "Why me?" she asked. "Because you never stopped believing the loop could be mended." Return. Zali gasped awake, the rift shook, shadows screeched from above, symbols blazing on his wings. Neve caught Zali as they fell forward. "What did you see?" Zali's voice trembled. "Everything. I am the loop now." The Weaver's Tomb. The scar reappeared 3 days later on a wall no longer tied to any map. Zali stood before it with her coat buttoned to the throat, raven feathers woven into the sleeves, skin faintly glowing with thread markings that pulsed with each heartbeat. Shadow perched on their shoulder, heavier now, eyes dim with waiting. Neve stood behind them silent. The shimmer was different this time, not just a rift, it was an invitation. The space between realms was opening, no longer resisting. It wanted Zali. "I won't be the same when I come back," Zali said without turning. Neve smiled faintly. "Neither will this place." Zali pressed a hand to the shimmer. The wall bent, and they stepped through. The tomb. It had changed. Where once it was dust and silence, now it breathed. The air trembled with low notes above a ceiling of bone-white stone melted into memory. The floor was smoke, solid enough to walk on, but rippling with lost histories. And in the center, the weaver. No longer still, it sat upright, its body made of skeletal architecture, glass bone, and golden thread wound into its spine. Its eyes empty, galaxies locked onto Zali the moment they entered. "You've seen," it rasped. "You've bled. You've broken." "I've remembered," said Zali. "I saw Rend. I saw myself in all timelines. I am not just a keeper. I am a fracture." "You are a threadsmith in birth," the weaver said, "but birth is death for what you were. So unweave me." "There is no unweaving without sacrifice." The loom behind the weaver revealed itself, massive half-collapsed threads stretched and tangled in impossible geometries. It had once been the engine of remembrance and travel. Now it was a maze of broken possibilities. "You must offer something," the weaver said. "Something of weight." Zali turned. Neve was behind them. "You brought her," the weaver said. "She is the price." "I won't give her." "Then remain. Rot in a myth. Let earth carve your bones and aura forget your name." "I'll find another way." "There is no other way." The choice. The raven launched from Zali's shoulder, spinning in the air like a spiral of ink and lightning. The glyphs on his wings flared, burning into the tomb walls. The very threads of the loom twisted. Neve stepped forward. "I offer myself," she said. Zali froze. "No!" "I won't die," Neve said. "But I'll be woven. It's different." "You don't understand." "I do. I saw the glyphs. I heard the mirrors whisper. You need a watcher." Zali looked at the weaver. "Will it work?" "It will," Neve looked at Zali one last time. Forge it. The weaving. Zali placed her hands into the loom. Threads bit into her skin, blood spilled, not red but light. Shadow flew overhead, spiraling with power. Neve's body lifted from the floor, hair floating, eyes glowing, memories of unraveling into the loom. Zali wove. A new loop, one not bound by time or realm. A bridge, a bond, a tether between earth and aura. Reality bent. The loom sang, the tomb shattered. Epilogue. The Watcher and the Threadsmith. In the alley behind the forgotten theater, the shimmer remains. People pass and never see it. But sometimes when the wind is wrong, a raven lands on the roof, feathers twitching with ancient light. And in the space between heartbeats, reality folds. Neve waits there, part woman, part pattern, her eyes still her own, her body laced with silent runes. And somewhere beyond, Zali weaves. She does not return, she becomes. A loom hums in the dark, a thread glows across dimensions, and from it unfolds the place once lost, now rewritten. The place where the light weaves. Home.